of 68.
All right, welcome in another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. We've given Robbie a couple weeks to I don't know, just kind of gear up.
Recover from the BS that was the Coach K interview. I may never forgive you guys for that. I may never. And you know what?
For those that didn't listen to the audio pod we did that day, to recap, we were in Chicago, National College Hall of Fame induction. We were sitting down with Coach K. We told Doster told Robbie to be there for 10:30.
I want to read the text. I want to read the text.
Yeah.
I've got to find them because
facts
Rob
out there on the table, all the facts.
Because Rob inundates me with BS texts all the time. I think it was sent to me and you, if I'm correct.
All right. So basically, again, setting the stage while you're trying to find it now, we're set to do an interview with Coach K, big interview that I had called you and I said, you know what, it'd be good for you to come down and be a part of this.
Yeah. I agree. And honestly, I did have a good time interviewing everyone else there, but I did not get to interview Coach K. I did get to talk to him afterwards, which was cool. But all right, from Jeff. Hey, Hummel, you still good for the K interview tomorrow morning? 167 North Green Street. Then Rob chimed in with some stupid text about how there's a basketball court on the roof and Goodman challenges me to a dunk contest. I said, yes. What time are you guys getting there? Also, what are you wearing? Doster goes, I'm suiting up, which sounds so lame, him saying that. And we'll be there around 10:30, 10:45 Central. We will get him at 11:30.
Yeah.
I said, okay. Do we have a plan for the interview? Yeah. We have a couple layups since we know you can't dunk. Another asshole comment from Rob. We'll go over it before. And then, let's see. I received a text from, I believe it was, So the next day, Jeff Goodman. Hey, Rob, they told us 11. No, I was told 11:30. But now they're saying we have to do this at 10:30. Sent at 10:29 a.m. 1 minute. 1 minute I had it advanced. I was literally just pulling out of my driveway. Then you go, not sure if you were here or not. Well, no, why would I be? I was told to be there at 10:45, but we got to roll as soon as he gets in. I wanted to kill you.
Yeah,
and Rob too.
I did feel bad. I mean, I did. I really did feel bad.
Yeah.
The best part was literally you're sitting outside the room that we filmed it in watching.
Well, yeah, I wasn't gonna burst in and be like, I'm here. Let me get it. Sorry, Coach. Congrats on the haul, but I'm here.
He's all suited up, ready to go, and he misses the K. Now we did some good ones that night, but yes, we feel bad. But again, generally speaking,
I mean, just know if I leave the field, no, that's fine. There might have been a missed email here or there. That's the smoking gun. Was there an email that said, "Hey, it's not 11:30 or 11"? You guys clearly are morons. He said 11:30.
It wasn't on me. It was not on me
either. So the thing is, no one knew, and the question has to be: was there an email that was missed by someone? And that is where
I think Doster said it was him. I think he did take responsibility.
That's funny. He never said that to me.
We rolled in at 10. Seriously, we rolled in at like 10:16. And the woman, I said, I'm like, we're here for. She said, all right, yeah, we'll bring the room's down here. We'll bring K in a few minutes, Coach in a few minutes. I said, a few minutes. We got an hour. And then poor Trevor, our producer,
Trevor was the real MVP.
Started dripping. No, but he was He was so nervous. It was like a pool.
What would have happened if he had not been able to get it ready and K walked in?
He would have been fired. I mean, he would have been fired.
What, Trevor?
Would have been over.
No, this is on the two dumbass executives at this company. You and Doster, two imbeciles. They would be on you guys, not on Trevor. Trevor did a great job in all accounts of that day.
All right. Can we get to, are we allowed to talk about the big news of the week or no?
Yeah, we can.
We're allowed to. We're allowed to talk the huge news of the week that was somehow, how did I not break this news? I mean, come on. We do a podcast together.
You're not a good journalist. That's how. I saw it in our interview with Josh that we will get. I don't know if this is going to go before or after. So if you've when is the interview going?
This will go before.
All right, so you'll hear Jeff ask the worst question on the most important question. But yeah, you're just not a good journalist, so that's why you didn't break this. That's why.
I actually kept it quiet for how long?
Well, you did. I mean, this has been known for a pretty good amount of time now, probably 2 months or 3 months now.
So the big news is Rob is leaving ESPN and going now. He's working for NBC, Fox, Big Ten Network, Peacock, right? All of it.
Yeah. So I mean, NBC is Peacock essentially. Yep. You know, and it's a really good opportunity, especially in terms of even though it was great working at ESPN for the 6 years that I was there. I just had a feeling that with the Big Ten leaving, that there would be opportunities elsewhere. And that's not to say that there wasn't an opportunity to go back to ESPN, but when you can go to Fox and NBC, and the NBC games are going to be on Peacock, which I think is a great opportunity as well to, start building something there. It just made sense with where the Big Ten went. And I played the Big Ten. I've covered the Big Ten almost exclusively now for 2 or 3 seasons. I'll miss the Big 12 like crazy, and I'll miss getting the random SEC game. I did Tennessee Auburn last year. I got to do
Tulsa. Hey, the random Tulsa game,
the Tulsa Guinness Book of World Records game where they had the biggest pizza party ever. I'll miss that stuff. It was a great experience for me. But I think with what the games that Peacock is going to have are going to be really good, and the games that Fox has are really good. And staying with Big Ten Network, it's been a great partner of mine, I guess, for now 6 years. And with their partnership with Fox, that's pretty seamless. You can go back from Fox, FS1, BTN, and do so under pretty much the same umbrella. So Big Ten Network has been great to me. I'm really excited about Fox, and I'm really, really excited about Peacock as well. It should be a great thing. And, I'm looking forward to working with great people. I think I'll be with Noah Eagle a lot on Peacock. I think I'll get to be back with Jason Benetti some on Fox, and then, Brandon Gaudin, Kevin Kugler, Corey Provis. Those guys do a great job as well as play-by-play guys. So I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing some really high-level Big Ten games, and hopefully some Big East too. The Big East that's a league right there. I think of the Big East as what it was when I was in college and watching the Big East tournament with guys like Deshaun Butler and those West Virginia teams and UConn and Nova, and it's getting back to that. It really is. So I'm hoping to get some Big East as well, but it's a great opportunity for me. And it's weird. That's the first time I've ever had news like leak about, I guess,
about it too. You're texting me. You're like,
no, I want to know who leaked it. I want to know. That's always the question. I don't think it came from someone from my side. So was it, ESPN? Was it
out
NBC?
there enough?
Who knows? It really, I don't think you had to dig all that hard. But it's not like someone called me and said, "Hey, is this true?" It was just reported. So I don't know.
Well, congrats. It's been very cool to see. It's so funny because I remember years ago when I was at ESPN, going into the guy who hired me, Mark Gross, who had since left like the college basketball end. But I remember we were talking about people to kind of bolster the college basketball group there, and I mentioned you because I remember we probably just got off the phone and you were like, I hate it here overseas. Like I
live in Moscow and I hate my life.
Right. You were miserable. And I was like, he's not lasting much longer. He's the perfect guy to get in because you still follow. You were far enough removed from it, but you weren't too far removed from it.
Well, yeah. And I was a psychopath and I'd stay up till 4 a.m. in Moscow to watch the games.
Right.
So I was actually still fairly plugged in, even though
more than
Moscow was 7 or 8 hours ahead of the East Coast. So I still had a pretty good feel for it. And I just look back at that time and I'm like, wow, I had a 2-year deal to go to Jerusalem. I was like, no chance.
And it was good money. It was good money.
It was good money. And Jerusalem is a good place to live and play. And every American that goes to Israel is like, man, this might be the best place I've played. It's an easy place from the fact that they speak English. The food is good. The weather is warm.
You were done.
I was so broken from playing in Russia, and that seems like a lifetime ago at this point. But it was.
My only other question is, what percentage do I get off this deal?
Oh my God. I think
I
you held
should
me
get
back.
something here.
I think that even though, okay, you maybe made the recommendation, this podcast has held me back in the biggest way. I would, they said about Dean Smith how there's that narrative out there that he was the one guy that could hold MJ back in college, and I kind of feel like you might be that for me.
All right. Well, this could be the last year of the pod if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly. This might be
this could be the last episode. I'm not under contract.
All right. Well, we're gonna go out with a bang. Then we're gonna go out with a bang. All right. I asked you to do a little homework of our top 3 storylines heading into the year, and also the 3 games that if I said to you, these are the 3 only 3 games you get to go to all year. These are your 3. So let's start with
Hold on. There's one other topic you asked me to broach. You don't recall?
No.
The big rule. We'll talk about that first. The big rule change.
All right. Only one of them. Only one of them.
The fact that the NCAA has taken the massive leap and said, you know what? If you want to wear number 6, wear number 6. Yeah. If you want to wear number 66, wear 66. What a massive rule change, and what a development for our sport that you can wear to 99.
What number would you go with? Like realistically,
I would have been the guy that was like, I wore 4 in high school. I will wear 4.
You're so boring. You are so
the number meant something to me. And you know why I picked 4? Because I was always fairly tall, even though I grew from 5'8" to 6'5" from 8th grade to freshman year of high school. So I was always, even as like a 5'8" 8th grader, I was one of the taller kids. So I'd wear like 32 or 44. So when I made the varsity as a sophomore, I was like, I want to be a low number. I'll wear 4, even though the jersey was like a small, and I was 6'6", but I also weighed 160 pounds. So I could easily fit into the jersey. And then I played well in it, and it meant something to me. That's a very sentimental answer. What did you want me to say? 69? Like what
double
answer
zero.
would have been?
Like I figured like 00 for you.
No, 00 is not a good number. I don't like the double. 0 is fine, but 00 is lame.
00.
I would never want to be a number in like the 80s or 90s.
Can you do 0 now? Can you do 00? Do you know? Is that allowed?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Or is it just 1 to 99?
It might be 0. You can be 0.
Yeah.
It might be 0 to 99. I don't know if you can be 00 though. This is the big rule change. Big rule change.
This is huge.
I just can't wait until it's like number 19, whoever subs in, and man, it will change the way we watch and consume.
Let's get on to something that's actually meaningful. Our top 3 storylines. I'll let you start. We have no idea. We might, honestly.
I don't think we will. I don't think we will.
Really?
I went. Well, maybe we will. My number 1 is that this is the last year of normalcy before real realignment takes effect, and honestly, the last year of the Pac-12, which to me is a huge.
You got me already. Like I'm ready to go to take a nap after hearing.
How is that not? Even that is the biggest story in college sports.
Because when
Pac-12 is going away.
Because when the season starts, I don't really care about that.
I think it will hang over the Pac-12 all season long. And you're lying if you say it's not.
It will, just because everybody will say it at the beginning of every game. But okay,
so a storyline that's mentioned every game is not important.
I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying it's gonna that doesn't do anything for me. Whether the Pac-12 gets 6 teams or 1 team this year, it's about this year for the Pac-12. Yes, it's the final year. That's obviously I'm sad as an Arizona guy of that, but I'm not going to be talking about it over and over and over. Oh man, the Pac-12 stinks. It's the last year. No, it's just the Pac-12 stinks or it's really good. That's what I care about.
I think it's going to be pretty good. I think that it'll be one of the better leagues the Pac-12 or the better seasons the Pac-12 has had, and the fact that it's just now going away to me is a storyline.
All right, I'm going to give you a better storyline than that.
All right,
I'm going to give you the storyline of the guy who has now won 1 NCAA tournament game in the last 3 NCAA tournaments. Do you know who that is? I mean, there's a bunch of those guys, but one that's paid a lot of money. No, it's not Matt Painter. Don't worry.
No, it's John Calipari.
Yes, it is John Calipari. And again, they did win 1 last year. They beat Providence, but 2 years ago they lose to St. Peter's. 3 3 years ago, they don't get in the NCAA tournament. And then obviously there wasn't.
So what's the storyline? Is he on the hot seat?
The storyline is all season. We always focus on Cal, but this season, yeah. I mean, last season, he kind of flipped it mid-season, and at least they felt pretty good the second half of the year about what Kentucky did. But again, you didn't get out of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. You're paid $10 million a year.
Is this storyline that much better than mine?
Yes,
I mean, you made it sound
better.
like it was like this
100%.
Astronomical thing.
Mine's so much better.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
First of all, nobody, you're going to be in bed by the time most of those Pac-12 games even.
Some of us work during the winter. I don't know what you do, but.
All right, next up.
All right, number 2, the Big East is back to being the Big East. When you've got UConn coming off a national championship year and going to reload, you've got Marquette, who won the Big East regular season and the conference tournament. And then you just look at all the other storylines that they've got going on. Pitino back at St. John in New York City. You look at the Cooley, Georgetown, Providence deal. You've got Nova in year 2 reloading with the transfer portal. And then Creighton, the job that Greg McDermott has done reloading that group. There's just that conference is loaded. And I think that the fact that it's back to being a basketball powerhouse like it was when I was in college, there's not as many teams. And that was always kind of the allure to me as a Big Ten player watching the Big East back then, that it's like, wow, they have 16 teams and like 14 of them are awesome. that was a gauntlet in itself, but it's going to be a heck of a season to watch the Big East. And I think that's an awesome storyline to follow throughout the year.
Yeah, I would agree. Pitino, St. John's is one that to me, everybody's going to be watching this year. FAU for me.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good one.
Final Four,
back.
Bringing everybody back. Obviously, Davis and Martin being their 2 key players. Now it's going to be a little bit different with the target on their back. Plus
their schedule is pretty insane, isn't it? Didn't they go out and schedule?
Oh,
yeah, that's
Jimmy
cool.
B, Illinois. They got Arizona in Vegas.
How did he do that on such a short turnaround?
Well, Jimmy B always, I feel like ESPN, has.
That not picked 3 years in? I thought a lot of those.
No,
they
Jimmy
can
B's like the year of. Yeah.
Okay, so they can flex, because that's interesting. I was looking at their schedule and I'm like, dang, they're playing a lot of good people. But
the Arizona game was late. The Arizona game, they had to move another game to be able to get the Arizona game in there in Vegas. So that's
good for them, because I think the fact that their team is going to be really good, and the fact that they're playing good people, kudos to them. That will be fun to watch.
All right, what else you got?
I think number 3's got to be the National Player of the Year's back. Zach Edey runs it back, and it's something that we just don't normally get to see at the college level, especially when you've got a guy that has 27 double-doubles and averages 22, 13, and 2, and sweeps all 6 awards for National Player of the Year. He's the first player in NCAA history with 750 points, 450 rebounds, 70 blocks, 50 assists, and he had 8 games of 30 and 10. I mean, the fact that we're getting guys like that to come back and he can have a chance to repeat as the 2-time National Player of the Year. Now, it's going to be hard, I think, because in awards like that, there is some voter fatigue. And I also look at Zach and I'm thinking to myself, well, how do you improve on that season? Like you have done so much over the course of a year. Now he's played with the Canadian national team all summer in the World Cup, which, I mean, getting to be around that every day, that's a heck of a way to improve and see how pros operate. But, the people that say he's just good because he's big are ignorant to basketball. He is a beast. The way he moves, his skill set, he'll play in the NBA. He would have gotten drafted last year. But the fact that he came back, it has Purdue as one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country, and it's a huge story to me that he's back in college basketball.
All right, my last one, the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah.
Intriguing. Just super intriguing after the roller coaster last
A combo of old and new for North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Peacock 5th year, RJ Davis back, no Caleb Love. How does that change maybe the complexion of the team? They bring in a bunch of transfers, Cormac Ryan, Harrison Ingram, Paxton Wojcik, Jalen Withers. All these guys, is the chemistry better? And Hubert, yeah, he's got some pressure, because I'll tell you what, you go 2 straight years at North Carolina and you don't get in the NCAA tournament, I don't care how good a guy you are, and Hubert is as good a guy as it gets. That's hard to
and when the expectation last year is that you're you're a team that made the Final Four,
yes,
and you're bringing everybody back, that adds another level to that as well. But that's a good one. That's a good one too. That'll be
yeah. They're all. I mean, those are 6 of the top 25. Even your first one,
except for the first one, which apparently sucked so bad.
Snooze. It was a snooze.
Whatever.
But anyway, all right. Same thing for our 3 games. All right, each of our 3 games, and they can be like personal, whatever reason you have. Yep. I said, like, pick the 3 that you've got to be at this year.
Okay, there's one that I want to say, but I'm going to let you say it.
Okay. You want me to start with it?
Yeah, you start with it then. You start with it.
I mean, it's the one that I've changed. Like, literally, I'll build my.
I'll come out of vacation. I will come out of my hibernation vacation in Charleston, is what you're about to say, to come back and brave the snowy Northeast. Right. To come to this game. So go ahead.
Driving back, we're ending our stay in Charleston on January 24th.
The first world problems with this guy are just unbelievable.
Hey, if I was ever a golfer, I'd beat your ass because, like, I'd have Charleston all winter.
Jeff, I would beat you in every sport we could ever play. You talk about softball,
I asked
pickleball, golf. I don't care.
I asked your dad what level you are in pickleball.
Yeah, he said either a strong 3.5, said strong 3.5, or a weak 4.0.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta feel, I don't know, but I gotta feel like after I've probably played about a dozen times now, I gotta feel like I'm probably a 3.5-ish right now. So with a little work on my serve, which needs some help, definitely.
You gotta hit it deep. You gotta hit it deep.
The weakness of my game. Somebody called me out for an illegal serve the other day.
Yeah, not surprising.
All right. Anyway, Ed Cooley going back to Providence on January 27th, Saturday night. Those fans are going to be so shit-faced. Those students, I'm scared. I mean, I was there for the Chris Beard return, and remember, they were like 5. It was just like the most venom I've ever seen at a game.
I think it'll be worse than the Chris Beard return, and I thought that was pretty venomous.
The only reason I say it won't is because Providence, their whole school is like 4,000 people.
So it's not. I mean, Texas Tech is a massive school.
Yeah, they have their
yeah, but I feel like it got so nasty. And of course, you were right in the center of all of it, from the school to Barstool to all that stuff.
I'm a little worried. I think I'm going to wear. You remember when Bobby Valentine,
the Mets manager,
went back in? Yeah, and he had the mustache and the full getup.
Yeah, he had the disguise.
I might show up in a little bit of a disguise. I'm a little bit scared of how those Providence fans might receive me. But
dude, yeah,
if I walk out behind Cooley, I should be fine. Like, I walked out behind Beard at Texas Tech, and they didn't even know I was there. So I just got to kind of.
Oh, that's a good point. They focus their hatred on the person that they hate.
Correct.
The most.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that's
fair. That's number 1 for me.
Yep. I was just looking at the schedule. I would have said that one, but I knew that you would probably take it, and you have a better reason to say it. I'm going to go Kansas at Indiana. I've been to big non-conference games at IU as a recruit, and I've done games in Indiana as an announcer, and I just know that place is going to be off the chain for when the Kansas Jayhawks go into Bloomington. I visited for the Duke. Yeah, I visited for the Duke game in 2005. And they came in there with J.J. Redick and Sheldon Williams and Josh McRoberts, and the atmosphere was incredible. And I think it will be like that. I really do. It will be insane.
That was one of mine. I'll pick another one. I have 2 other options. I'm going to go. There aren't really a lot of good games the first week, and that's putting it mildly. The first week sucks because Champions Classic is now the second Tuesday.
I feel like I might be doing one of the better. So my schedule, I think I might be doing one of the more intriguing games.
Well, there's one
of the first week.
There's one that stands out, and that's the game I'm going to pick because
it's not going to be that. But go ahead.
It's Arizona at Duke, and the last time and the only time Arizona ever played at Cameron was 1990 when Christian Laettner was hit Duke. So I'm gonna go to this because again, frankly, it's the only heavyweight bout of that first week.
No, that's good. This is kind of just looking ahead to conference favorites, and I'm going to lump 2 different games or series in here, I should say. I'm looking forward to Marquette UConn, because of what happened last year with UConn going to the national championship or winning the national championship, and Marquette winning the league in both ways.
Your boy Cats had that. By the way, your boy Cats had that as like the number 6 rivalry in college basketball, Marquette UConn. I'm like, I don't understand that. That's not really a rivalry, but okay.
Well, it is for this season.
We'll make it a rivalry.
this season's rivalry.
We'll make it a rivalry.
And I think Purdue Michigan State is really intriguing too, because those two teams bring back so many, and you've got 2 great atmospheres. So that's 2 games for that slot. But yeah, and then I've got a good one for number 1.
UConn at Kansas for me on December 1st, the defending national champs. And my take on this is I picked like the Cooley game and then the 2 best spots to see a game.
No, and Fog Allen to me is the best. Fog Allen is the best place to see.
That's what I did here. I mean, Danny Hurley at Fog Allen is going to be a friggin' show.
Well, I'm sure, yes, focus on the officials there.
It'll just be fun. Like the environment will be on. I mean, it is unbelievable anyway, but that'll be a great one on December 1st.
Yeah. And then this is kind of cheating, but I just want to give it a shout out because of what they went through, the Maui Invitational.
Yeah.
You know, for everything that they've been through, and then the games they're going to have, where you've got Tennessee, Syracuse, you've got Gonzaga, Purdue, you've got Kansas, Chaminade, and UCLA, Marquette. So you've got that's a top 15 team, a top 10 team, the number 1 team in the country to start the year, and 2 top 5 teams. That is a loaded field. And I'm glad that the games are staying on the island, because that place, it deserves. I know it's off Maui, but the fact that they're in Hawaii, just they need all the help they can get right now. And I'm glad
they're getting it, Rob. They're getting it from some of these teams that are playing exhibitions, the latest.
Yeah. Yep. I'll be there
Texas
for one of them.
Tech.
Kansas, Illinois. That's from Maui. So
Texas Tech playing Texas A&M in one.
Yep.
Michigan State's playing one.
I'm trying to think who they're playing.
But I think they are. I think they are too.
So yeah.
All the big boys should play one, because you're getting an extra free exhibition anyway.
And it's against a high level opponent. There's some really good exhibition games this year, and it's better for the sport. You know, some of them are going to be televised, and to get to have those types of games,
giving money, helping out,
no doubt,
out that area. So
no doubt.
All right, well, listen,
we had one more thing,
everybody.
We had one more thing.
What do we got?
Your transfer list that you.
Quickly. Who did I forget? I did a top 25 transfer list.
25 is hard because there's so many transfers, but you mentioned Harrison Ingram. I was kind of surprised he wasn't on the list because of how talented he is.
Fair.
Arthur Kaluma, a little surprised that you left him off the list.
I picked one guy. I didn't want to put 2 guys from each team, and I picked Tyler Perry.
I think Jamison Battle could be a guy that, even though he struggled last year with the talent around him, if you look at what he did 2 years ago when Minnesota had more guard talent, and Ohio State is going to have, I think, a pretty good team.
I do too.
I think Jamison Battle could go back to being a real problem, especially at the 4.
15
you play him at the 4 instead of the 3. I think he could have a nice year. And I also thought Matthew Cleveland, just because of how talented he is going to Miami, that could really unlock him. So there's others too.
I'm with you on all those guys. All those guys were under consideration. It is really hard to
25 is a hard number to pare it down to, because there's a million.
I could have done 50, would have been a lot easier, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I wanted to.
But also ranking them is hard because fit is so important, and how just everything comes together. Sometimes you think it's a lot. Sometimes it doesn't work out.
Dickinson and Max Abmas 1 and 2.
That's fair.
And Nemhard probably in that top 3 too.
Yeah.
Like hard to, because they're going to impact high level programs too.
For sure. And they'll be you're in a position to succeed because of the people around you, the people coaching you, and how good you are as well. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's amazing how easy it is to create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to. Oops, let me redo that one. That's a long sentence. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/good. That's linkedin.com/GOOD to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, now pleased to welcome in the new head coach of West Virginia, Josh Eilert. Josh, how you doing? Welcome to the Goodman and Hummel pod. I know, as we said, when you agreed to this, you were not aware that Hummel was actually going to be here because usually he's golfing. So right? This is a rare occasion. And when I told him you were coming on, I think he cleared his schedule for this.
Is that right? How's the golf game going?
It's pretty good. You know, I'm down to like a 4 handicap. When you got on the Zoom, we heard Jeff regaling us of stories of his softball prowess last night. I don't think either of us believed what he was saying. 2 home runs in a game. This dude's not hit 2 home runs in his life. So
bombs, not just home run.
bombs. Phil Mickelson bombs. That's what he said. Yeah.
Designated home run hitter. I don't know if you got that rule in your softball league, but they got to pick somebody around here to be the designated guy. Is that you?
No, we don't have that. We got a limit of 7 a game, and we went through our limit going into the 9th, and we had our best player up, and he couldn't hit a homer. Actually, that was the 8th. Tried not to hit a homer, and the thing just tailed off and soared over the net.
Jeff is the David Ortiz of his softball team. It sounds like we believe that.
I'm a little older. I don't lie about my age though. So all right, let's get on to it. All right, Josh. Listen, congrats, first of all. Really cool story that we're going to tell a little bit later about kind of your background and everything like that. But the first thing I wanted to go back to was the day when Ren Baker told you were going to be the interim head coach this year and replace a legend in Bob Huggins. It had been a kind of obviously a turbulent off season. Then Hugs resigns. They look, Ren Baker goes through a little bit of a search, and you don't know if you're going to get it or not. And then he comes in and tells you you're going to be the guy for this year. Take me back to what that meeting was like and your emotions.
It was a long week. It really was. If I look back at it, and my wife and I looked at pictures of myself at the press conference. Shit, I lost 12 pounds that week. I mean, it was stress everywhere. I'm trying to hold the ship together when it was certainly, you said turbulent times. It was certainly turbulent times. And I tell you what, I mean, I've put my heart into this program for the day we walked on campus, Coach Huggins and I, and Coach Eric Martin came from Kansas State in 2007. So I had a lot invested here. And so that week was hard trying to figure out, what we do with the guys that we had and how we keep them and keep that foundation as solid as we could in the process. But going back to the, what you said with Ren, when he finally, gave me the nod, I mean, it was emotional. It really was. Everybody gets their chance in different ways. It's certainly by any means not the way I wanted to get my chance, but heck, you take it and hopefully you're prepared for it and ready to take on that challenge. And I think I am.
Josh, you mentioned just how much was going on in that week-long period. And then on top of that, you have been a part of the West Virginia program for such a long time. You've known Bob Huggins seemingly forever. So I guess the first part of my question will be, how is Coach Huggins doing? And will he have any involvement with the program going forward?
He's doing good. I think he's taken some time to reflect and this everybody knows how this business and this career path can really you get so invested in it and day in and day out, it's such a grind over the years, and that was his lifestyle. And certainly I hope he can look back and I know it didn't end the way anybody wanted for it to end for him. And I mean, the story wasn't exactly the storybook ending, but he had a hell of a career. Absolutely a hell of a career, and somebody I've admired and the people of West Virginia admired over the years. And so I hope he's just getting that piece. I mean, he just turned 70 the other day. Hopefully he gets that piece and he finds out, there's other things in life he can go enjoy and still be involved. And hopefully, time heals all wounds. So, there was certainly some turbulent times with him and the university here, but I think in the coming years, I think we're going to be able to mend those fences and honor him the way he needs to be honored here.
has he been around, Josh, yet? I mean, I know practice just started, but do you anticipate, a lot of those guys who go out and have their guy take over, Calhoun with Kevin Ollie was around a good amount. Roy Williams is at games. You see him at all the Carolina games. I was down at Duke. Coach K was at practice, not at a ton of games. Do you even know, have you talked to Huggs yet about kind of how you guys are going to handle this year?
No, he's kind of, we got a lot of influence. I was with him for so long, and then I hired 3 guys that played under him, or actually 4 guys that played under him, 3 here at West Virginia. So we've operated in a lot of ways, and the way, he was defensively, and we're trying to, force that mindset on those new guys. But no, he's given me my space. He hasn't gotten involved, and I think we all know that if it's going to work, they got 100% buy-in with what I want out of them and what our staff wants. So he's been very respectful in that regard, and not tried to, come in and disrupt anything we got going as we build the new era.
All right, so here's my big question to you. Ready? Who is Josh Eilert? Your career path is a lot different to get a head coaching gig or the opportunity to get a head coaching gig than a lot of other guys, right? You've grinded it out. You have legitimately grinded it out here. Video, GA, video ops, now head coach. Kind of, who are you? I think a lot of people are going to think, it's got to be like Huggs, right? He learned from Huggs. Tell me a little bit about your coaching style, your personality.
He's got a lot of influence on it, because we, at a time period when I came back to be a GA, and I transitioned from Jim Woolridge, working for him, to Bob Huggins. He was, in my mind, a Hall of Famer back then. So I immediately gravitated towards him and his personality. And he's a good old country boy, just like myself. You say, who am I? I'm from a small town of 1,200 people in north central Kansas. We didn't have AU ball. The biggest concern for everybody is trying to fill out, how we get the crops out, harvest. And when it comes late June, trying to get the wheat out of the fields. So I'm just a small town agricultural boy that loved basketball. You hear about the stories in Indiana, these kids just grew up loving the game, but really didn't have all that exposure. That was kind of me. I just kind of did everything I could to stay involved in the game. Played 2 years of junior college basketball, ended up walking on at Kansas State, getting 2 years of experience there. Stepped out of basketball for a year to try to figure out who I was in terms of, following my finance background. And
how'd that go?
I was sitting behind a desk, and I started getting itchy, about 2:30 when, practice time rolls around, and that last 2 or 3 hours of the day was dragging on.
Yeah.
You started getting that in your heart, and you're like, hey man, I got to get back to what I love. And that's what I did. I jumped on as a GA with Coach Jim Woolridge, and he coached me there at K-State. And I knew he was kind of at the end of his helm there at K-State, and I had to take a leap of faith that, on myself, that I would, maintain in this career and keep moving forward, whether he was there or not. And it worked out. And I got 1 year under him, or Coach Huggins at Kansas State. And then my wife and I, newly married, we said, let's do it. Let's jump on with Coach Huggins and go to West Virginia and see where it goes.
You talked about the former players and the young staff that you got. Deshaun Butler, it's his first year as a college assistant coach, and Jordan McCabe was playing college basketball last year. West Virginia has shown that NIL is not an issue. How has it been, I guess, recruiting with the interim tag, or have you mostly focused on this year's team and what you got in front of you?
Well, initially we were doing everything this summer to figure out what our roster was. We were probably behind the 8 ball in so many regards, and those guys got a lot of leverage. My roster in particular got a lot of leverage to where they could immediately be eligible. So that was a challenge in itself. Now that we got our roster done for this year, we started moving on. We feel like we're behind, but back to your question, we don't look at it as we're a short-term contract. We look at it like we're going to be here long-term, and we have that mindset that we're going to be here long-term. So we're recruiting in that regard. So we're bringing in kids, the high quality kids from a high school perspective that may or may not sign with us, but we're continuing to build these relationships so we can move forward and build that recruiting base as we move forward.
You know, obviously you got a pretty good team here. I don't know how many people have you preseason top 25. I think if you kept like Trey Mitchell, a lot of us probably would have had you in the, you know, we worry a little bit about depth right now. You know, you got Jesse Edwards, one of the best players out of the portal, double guy. Syracuse, you got my boy Kerr from Arizona, who is maybe the most entertaining dude in the entire country. Right? I mean, how much fun is he to be around?
Let's see. He's got a gravitating personality.
Yes. Yes. So how good do you think you're going to be this year? And again, how much do you worry about that depth, which was something you really couldn't control? Because like you said, and I know you can't say this, but I can, like, you know, if Ren Baker made the decision a week earlier, you might have kept Trey Mitchell. You might have kept some other guys. But I think your depth got hurt a little bit. And even, again, losing Trey got hurt because of the fact that Ren did his homework, which I give him credit for, but the longer it took, the more obviously the roster got antsy.
Yeah, I think the roster was antsy, whether in the portal or not. I mean, some of those guys probably would have left regardless. And I talked about this yesterday in my press conference when they asked me. I think we were bringing guys in and we were really loading up the roster, and we would have had a really special roster in so many ways. But I would have had my questions as to whether some of these guys might leave anyway, because you start looking at it, if they can graduate in the summer, they can leave and they're immediately eligible. So you start looking at that timeline and when they can graduate, and you got to be careful who you bring in to upset rock the boat and who you got in the building to begin with. So I had my questions as to whether Joe Toussaint, whether Trey Mitchell, whether those guys would have actually stuck around anyway.
Yep.
But certainly it didn't help that it only took a week. I mean, he had to do his due diligence.
It felt like forever, didn't it?
It really did. And it felt like forever for me, I can tell you that. But, Ren hadn't only been here a year, so he had a lot on his plate throughout this whole process. And to his credit, we got to know each other really well that week. And he put a lot of pressure on me and a lot of responsibility to try to hold everything together during that week while we're going through that. But we didn't have a lot of time prior to that to really get to know each other. So he knew Hugs, he knew Neil Brown. He was doing his due diligence, and he's a great guy in terms of relationships, but we hadn't had that chance to really get to know each other. So during that week, he was feeling me out and trying to figure out whether I could handle the job in the process. I was definitely a candidate from day one. He told me how I would get that opportunity to really sit down and interview just like anybody else. But he was going to do his due diligence, and I respect him for that.
How will you be different from Hugs? He had some staples, whether it was the stool or the sweatsuit, which he became iconic for before coaches were ever doing that, right? Now it would be normal. Will we see those things from you, or are those two things that will be his and his alone?
That stool is retired.
Come on, you should just leave it out there. You should leave it empty out there.
I roll out there and sit in his stool. I mean, what kind of man am I?
Well, it just seems like a staple of West Virginia hoops because it's been there for so long. What about schematically? When you talked about the influence he's had on you, how much scheme will be similar and how much will be different from what he did?
From a defensive perspective, we want to try to carry on some of those principles. But it has been a challenge. I mean, we only got 3 or 4 guys that carried over from last season. And we got 4 or 5 fifth-year guys. It's got a lot of experience, but Jesse Edwards set in his own in a 2-3 zone for 4 years. So, and we don't really have a lot of depth at the 5. So how involved we can get him in ball screen actions in terms of coverage, we got to be, we got to think of those things. And the other 5-year guys, I mean, they all had their different strategies defensively, and we're trying to bring that all together. Our staff is all kind of on the same page there, but as well as I do, I mean, some of these guys, we didn't build that chemistry late in the summer, and that carryover from experience perspective really isn't there. So it's going to take some time to get us to where we want to be defensively, where everybody's reading off each other and we're working as a unit. Now, offensively, we've kind of started from scratch, and Deshaun Butler, he's had that NBA influence, and from day one when I brought him in, called him, he was all in. We sat down, we started looking at how we develop a more modern approach to the game, and develop that spacing and have that NBA influence on and that makes it a lot easier for us from a recruiting standpoint to sell that to kids. Like, you're going to play in a better, more NBA approach to the offense. We might give up some areas like we did in the past. For years, we were one of the best offensive rebounders, and some of our best offense was a missed shot, but our spacing wasn't all that had a lot to be said for it.
I know Deshaun well. Evan Turner and I lived in a room in Serbia together for a month. So I got to know him really well. We had 3 dressers, 3 beds, and that was it. No TV, no internet. So I know him
Definitely
well.
got to know each other well.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of guys we know well, I need since I'm here in Boston, I need your best Missoula story.
I can't tell the best ones.
Well, it's funny because everybody here in Boston thinks that Joe doesn't have much of a personality, because he in the press conferences, he's so he doesn't let loose. And you and I you've seen it a whole lot more than I have, but I've seen him let loose. So I tell everybody here, I'm like, trust me, this dude has, but I think part of it is, and I wonder if you'll face any of this. I don't think you will to the same degree, but when you take over on an interim basis, you don't want to make a mistake going up there to the media or anything. You want to make sure you say the right things. And I wonder if he was so cognizant of that he hasn't shown his full personality. Maybe he'll start to be a little bit more at ease and comfortable in year 2.
Well, Joe Missoula, from the time I walked on campus in 2007, that Joe Missoula and the Joe Missoula today, he's grown up a lot. I mean, the maturity in terms of the Joe Missoula you're seeing now, and the father that he is and the person he is remarkable, the transition that he's had growth-wise from an individual's perspective. So, Joe's always been passionate, man. He does everything with all kinds of passion. And to say he doesn't have personality, he's got all the personality in the world. And you just got to get to know him. And he's one of the most interesting guys I have in my life. And I talked about it yesterday in terms of they asked, who do I lean on? I mean, my situation, there was no case study. Tell me a situation that was close to what I had to deal with. So I quickly got on the phone with Joe Missoula, and his situation wasn't certainly like mine, but the advice that he gives and the perspective that he gives, on life and the opportunity that I was given, it was huge.
What did he tell you? What was the biggest thing you took away from the conversation with him?
You're playing with house money in terms of an opportunity. Just control what you can control and go out there and give it everything you got every day. And these type of opportunities just don't get handed to anybody. And I don't like the way I got this opportunity, but it is what it is. And now I got to carry the torch and figure out how I follow a Hall of Famer that was one of the most popular guys in the state of West Virginia. And
is he still, Josh, how is Huggins? How do you feel he's portrayed now in West Virginia? Is it still most people now kind of almost forgiving him to some extent, or do you feel like it's a little bit splintered and he's still got to get some of the state and some of the fan base back?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think every day we go on, I think the more and more forgiving people are, and the more and more respect they have for the macro. I mean, he had a tough 2 or 3 months, but that can't negate everything he's done in his career and all the great things he's done, raising money for cancer research, and he is a great human being. So this 2 separate incidents that happened a month apart, this summer can't overwhelm all the things he's done in his career and all the great things he was as a coach and a mentor and as a person. So certainly some of that got some shade thrown on it, but I think time will heal all that.
What you watch Rodney Terry last year as an interim go out there and get the job done, right? And everybody, when they get the interim, they say the same things, right? Like I always hear the same line, right? It's like, well, I'm not worried about me. I'm just worried about the kids. Like you're always worried about kids. That's why you're doing this. But in the short time we've known each other, I know you. There's not a lot of bullshit with you. You're probably going to say it the way it is. How much do you think at all about that? Like, what do I need to do? What do we need to do so I can keep this job? Because like you said, you're playing with house money, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for a guy that a couple of years ago wasn't even on the road recruiting. Like this is something you probably never dreamed of. And now it's there for you.
Yeah. And you compared me to Rodney Taylor, to Texas and their situation. So you got to understand that happened mid-season. My situation happened in the summer to where the roster got flipped over and you had all the challenges of putting a new roster together. So in a lot of cases, they had a situation where things were in place. The foundation was in place. Nobody was leaving and they were a winning program already. He just had to just keep it winning. And he did an excellent job and kudos to him. I think my challenge was to a higher degree in so many ways. But, saying the right things 100%, I go back to the time period where I have 9 days left on my contract and I'm just worried about my family.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I'm worried about my wife and kids and where we're going to land. But I knew I still had 9 days on my contract. So I still had an obligation to those guys that I've helped recruit, those guys that, we had in our program that have been so good to us. So I just kept coming to work every day and trying to keep them level-headed, keep them in a good mental space, because we just kept practicing during that week. I was like, guys, you might not be playing for West Virginia next year, but you're going to be playing for yourself and somebody else next year, one way or another. So be a professional. And that was my big message. Be a professional, show up every day, go to work every day. It might not be here. You might not be representing West Virginia, but you're going to be representing yourself, your family, and some other school somewhere else.
I'm just curious, Josh, how were those practices? Did the kids take to that?
We had, we had 3 that week. And I remember giving the third one off because, there was so much going on, but no, I give them credit. They kept on showing up and working. And I think that had to do with the fact that our staff, I said, what do we have to lose? We just keep on going about our jobs. Certainly we had all this anxiety about how it was all going to fall, but as a man and as a guy that was, trusted in the lives of these kids, how are you just going to say, okay, we're not going to do anything this week? Just wait for your next leader. And I didn't feel right with me. I didn't feel right with, the rest of our coaching staff that was here in place. So we just kept working.
Hey, by the way, Rob, he's already a pro. The question I asked 2 questions ago, he never answered. It was a quality job of deflecting there. The question was,
which one? What do you mean?
The question was basically, what do you think about what you need to do to keep the job permanently? He never answered it. I don't
remember you asking that, honestly.
I did.
Well, I was going to come back to that. I just had to set the table.
Maybe it was a long-winded question that, I was always told, don't ask double barrel questions, right? Don't ever ask double, because then you're going to pick whatever part of it you want to answer. So that might be on me. I'll take responsibility for that.
I need to get this team to the NCAA tournament. I really do. I think they're capable of getting to the NCAA tournament. I just got to figure out how we get them all to, pulling in the same direction. So I think in my mind, once we get to the NCAA tournament, we can turn the page. We can have loftier goals. But right now, these guys, a lot of them haven't played in the Big 12. It is a gauntlet. Yeah. And my schedule wasn't built. All that stuff's built, a year, 2 years in advance. It wasn't built for a first-year head coach to try to figure this out. I mean, I'm getting thrown into the fire, and I got a lot of new guys and a lot of new pieces that all came here within the last month in a lot of cases. So we're playing catch-up in so many ways, and we're trying to build that chemistry, and we're trying to build that trust. And certainly I haven't called a timeout, and I got 4 assistants that have less than a year experience as being assistant coaches.
They're so young. You have the youngest staff maybe ever assembled in Division I.
I think it's one of the most beautiful things too. But we walk out on the floor, and we're excited every day. We're pumped. We have a sense of urgency like nobody else across the country. We all knew we're buying into this process, and we've got 10 months to figure it out. We're down to 7 in terms of our contract. We got 7 months to figure it out. And we're young, we're eager, we're excited, and we're going to impose our will on our guys and hopefully carry it over to the floor.
Who's the best player on the staff? I know it's not Jay. Obviously, we know it's not Jay. So who's the best player on the staff right now?
If you had to go out there and throw one-on-ones every day in and out, Jamar Johnson, he's 43 years old, and he is hard to guard. I've tried.
A healthy DeMar, man, a healthy DeMar. Think about a healthy DeMar in today's NBA, how good he'd be.
Yeah, he's really good in the half court these days. And you get him up.
But that's saying something because McCabe just got done playing, and I know how good Deshaun is. So you guys might have one of the better depth of staffs out there. I mean, that's a lot of good players. No doubt.
Anybody got to want to challenge us? We're excited for tomorrow. So, all these guys are eager to still play. I mean, we got Jordan McCabe at the point. We got Alex Ruoff. He still holds the record for 3-point makes at West Virginia. We got Deshaun Butler, 2,000-point scorer, and led us to the Final Four in 2010.
Yep.
Been a hell of a pro had he not faced all that adversity with
he blew his knee out 3 times.
Twice, I believe. I could be mistaken.
It was 2 or 3. I mean, still the fact that he got back is amazing. The fact that he played professional basketball is a credit to him. He was really good, really good.
Oh yeah, then you got DeMar Johnson, that is one of the most competitive guys I know. He'll go out there and we had some pickleball tournament for the athletic department, and me and him matched up. It's not a tall guy's sport, and it was a 2-on-2, and we got destroyed 11-0. And the next day he's out there practicing. It bothered him. It bothered him a lot. He'll compete.
Look out for next year's staff tournament. He's coming.
Whether it be bowling or pickleball or hoops, he needs that every day. And then I'm the worst player of them all, and I go out there and set a lot of great screens. I just worry about that Achilles going,
Yeah, that's smart. That's a smart.
Everyone's worried at our age for sure.
Listen, getting back to how we started, ripping on me for my softball team, I forgot to mention I got a Mountaineer on my team. So you got to give a shout out to Riley, West Virginia. I actually went to a UFC in Boston here with a bunch of these dudes. They're like 26 years old. A bunch of them, he brought all his boys from West Virginia there too. So there were like 22 of us. I'm the only one over 26 years old. And I look over, the thing starts at like 6:30. All right. By 7:15, like 18 of these dudes didn't have their shirt on. We're all in a suite, and they're trying to get me to take my shirt off. I'm like, no, guys, that ain't happening. That just ain't happening. Like, I'm too old for this shit. I don't need any.
That's on the internet. You can't get that back. That's
You guys are crazy out there in Morgantown. That's what this proves. You're crazy.
We have a passionate fan base by all accounts.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. No, I'd like to. I'll see if Riley can get out there, get a couple of his boys. We'll try to get out there for a game this year. But listen, we appreciate you jumping on with us. Congrats. Love the honesty and the transparency. Not that I expected anything else from a Bob Huggins protege, but again, we appreciate it, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you this year.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on, and don't be a stranger. I can always jump on whenever.
Definitely.
Great. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right, listen. Thanks for Josh Eilert for joining us today. Heck of an interview. Really, really impressed by, again, not surprised by how honest he was and forthcoming, but and good for you to show up. Really nice.
Hey, everybody look forward to Jeff's awful question where he asked the most important one coming up, and it takes him a good minute and a half to get it out. And what's the first lesson they taught you at fake journalism school? Ask one question, Jeff.
One question.
Don't ask two.
I know. I hate the people that do that in the press.
And what did you just do? You just did it.
Double barreled. I didn't even know I was doing it. That's the worst part.
It's because you were rambling. I'll take you to interview school. I'm so good at them. So
good at them. So good at them. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. We're going to start doing them every single week now. So Hummel's going to have to get back to work again. I'll
do one from the golf course next time.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.